You have probably already seen these magnetic hover effects on websites like the Luma Dream Machine or even the iPad when you use a cursor to navigate around. A while ago, I got the urge to recreate this pretty much useless effect inside the Framer. So I developed a little component that anyone can use to recreate the effect without writing any code. In this video, I'm walking you through how the component works, and we're going to also recreate these magnetic buttons for a little exercise. My name is Nandi, this is Framer University, and let's get started. So before we jump into the juicy stuff, let's take a quick look at how this component actually works. So let's say we press F on our keyboard and draw a frame here on the canvas. I'm going to then press this little play button and preview this. You can see it's a simple frame here, but what if I want to make it magnetic? What if I want to make sure that when I hover over it, it slightly follows my cursor? Well, I can then use the little component from Framer University, just drag and drop it here within the frame itself, and when I select the component, I can then go to the right properties panel, switch up some properties here, distance, hover area, and stuff like that. But without any adjustments, we already have this little effect right here. You can see that it slightly follows my cursor when I hover over it, being a little bit magnetic. But I can make sure that it has maybe a bigger distance, so it's gonna be more magnetized, or I don't know how to say it. And then I can also change the hover area, and now we're gonna have a little bit more of a stronger effect. And what is great about this component is that we can also place more elements within this frame. So I'm going to press F on my keyboard, draw another one here. I'm going to center that, perhaps make it white and fully around its corners. If I go and adjust the magnetic hover component here and add the children, you're going to see that now I can specify how the children elements will behave within this container. So I can change the scale. Maybe I'm going to scale it down to 0.9 or 0.8, and then maybe I want to make sure that it is moving with a little bit different distance, so maybe I'm going to set it to 15. So now what we're going to see is that the children element is moving a little bit differently. It's also scaling down when I hover over this, and yeah, it has sort of like a little parallax effect where this circle within moves a little bit faster. And yeah, this is the basics of this effect, this little component. And now I think we can move on to, again, the juicy part of the video, where we're going to be recreating this beautiful interaction from the Luma website, where we can click each of these little buttons. It has the magnetic effect, and then when I click, we have this beautiful text effect and this different state of the button. So we're going to recreate these with the little component that we have. So I'm going to go and switch to the tutorial page. It's really important that you're going to find the remix link in the description, so you can first of all take a look at the project file and see how it's built if you don't understand something in the video. But more importantly, you can just follow along with me. If you go to the starter page, you'll see a blank canvas just like me, and then you can start drawing the frames with me. So I'm going to go to tutorial, but then I'm going to actually go to the assets panel, because here we're going to find the little flower that we're going to work with. So I'm going to just copy it and then paste it onto my page here. Just make sure that it is actually within the main stack right here. And the one little thing I want to say here is that if you don't see these canvas pages here, make sure to go here to file, or I don't know, maybe it's in preferences. Yes, preferences, and then canvas pages. Make sure that the check mark is right here, and that's how you're going to see the canvas pages. So now we have our little flower. We can probably make this a little bit smaller. I think it's going to be around 56 pixels, so something like this. And then I'm going to just rename this to flower. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to wrap it inside of a stack. So I'm going to right click and add the stack. I can also press Option Command and Enter on my keyboard. That is going to do the same thing. And then this stack will be set to fit content width and height. There's also a shortcut for that, Shift A, it's pretty handy. And then this stack can be actually called content. So this will be the content of like within the button. And then I'm going to probably set some padding, so maybe 10 on the top and 12 on the sides. And then I'm gonna also make sure that the height is actually constrained and it is only 56. And then yeah, we're gonna just set a fill color, which is gonna be white, 10 or 15%. And then we are gonna also set a border, which is gonna be white, and then 20%. It's gonna be a little bit thicker, maybe 2. And then we're gonna fully round these corners. So now we have the base of the button, we have the image within, and now we also have to create a little text layer that will be firstly hidden inside of this, and then we will show it when we click on the button itself. So I'm gonna go ahead, press T on my keyboard, click within this content frame, and then write something here. I'm gonna probably just go here and copy what we have right here. Beautiful visuals for your store, so I'm gonna just have to type it in. Okay, so it is going to be white, and then 16 and medium, and I'm gonna just make sure to put it to the right with my arrow keys. And then I'm gonna wrap it inside of a stack, so Option, Command and Enter. I'm gonna set this stack to fit content with Shift A, and I'm gonna rename this stack to text. And before I hide this text layer, I'm gonna also make sure that the right padding here is slightly adjusted. But actually I don't think that we need to do it right now, because then if I hide the text layer, now we have a little bit of an inaccurate, like not inaccurate, but you know, not equal padding on the left and on the right. So I have to set it back to 12 for now. And yeah, now we have, I think, all of the elements that we need within this button. But the problem is that this is now not really doing anything when I hover over it, and I want to have a cool little effect. So let's go to framer.university and search for the magnetic hover component. And here we can just click the copy component, and then back in Framer, we can just select the content frame and press Command and V on our keyboard. So now you can see that it was actually placed within the flower, so we can just drag it within the content frame. So the actual frame that will be magnetized is the content frame, and then of course the elements within, which is the flower and the text. Now you can see that it takes up a bit of a space here on the left. We have to set it to absolute positioning, so it's not taking up any space. It's actually just a fully invisible element on our website that just simply has the effect to the button. So now if we take a look at this, you can see that when I hover over this, it starts following my cursor. One little optimization that we can do is we can make sure that we cannot drag this little image by setting style draggable to no on the flower frame. And then I'm gonna maybe slightly adjust the distance, but I think 10 is fine. Hover area 10 is also gonna be good. However, I'm gonna make sure that, you know, this little icon is scaling down just like on the original and has this sort of like parallax effect where the children element is moving a little bit differently. So with the children property, I can do that. I can just click here, set distance to 8, and then the scale to 0.8. So now you're gonna see that we basically have the same effect, which looks really nice. So now we can, you know, take this to the next level by turning this into a component and then creating two variants, connecting those with click interaction, and we're gonna have this effect right here. I'm gonna just wrap this content inside of another stack with Option, Command, Enter, set that to fit content with Shift and A, and I'm gonna rename it to button, or maybe magnet button, and then turn it into a component with a right click, create component, and then here we're gonna have this default variant. And then with this little button, I can create another variant, which is gonna be clicked. And here we can define how it is going to look. And so we can get this color, for example, for the background, and we can set it instead of this white transparent color. So I'm gonna just go select the content within and then fill, and just paste in this color, set the opacity to 100%. And then I'm going to set the border to 0%. That looks really good. Then the text layer will be actually visible like this. and then probably we will have to make sure that, yeah, it's gonna be fine like this for now, because I also have to make sure that the flower is actually moved to the top left. So I'm just gonna set it to absolute positioning and then move it right here. But you can see that it's cutting off. It's because the flower has the content and this other variant frame, which are the parent frames of this flower. And probably one of them or both of them have overflow set to hidden. So we have to check that. As you can see here, it's hidden. We can set it to visible, and then we can set the variant itself also to overflow visible. However, I made a little mistake here that I was adjusting it here on the clicked variant. However, this is a change I want to make sure happens on all variants, so I have to set it on the primary, because everything I do on the primary is applied on all other variants. So as you can see, as I'm adjusting it here, the clicked variant also gets this different effect. So the left pin will be 15, minus 15, and then the top will be also minus 15. So now this is what we see. I think now the padding can be adjusted on the left and on the right, so we have a little bit more space there. Let's see how it looks here. So probably around 38. Let's have equal space on the right side. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's take a look at how this looks if we connect with interactions. So we just drag here from default to clicked. The interaction will happen on the click trigger. We can just click then here to finalize the interaction. And then let's try clicking this. So I hover, then click. And as you can see, now we go to the clicked. But you can see that the effect is still applied here, which is not really something I want. As you can see here, when I click, it no longer has the effect. So how do I deactivate it? Basically, I just go to the clicked variant, and then I select the magnetic hover and just set the enabled to no. So when we click now on this variant, it is no longer gonna be there, which is pretty good. This is exactly what we need. However, there is one more thing that we need to make sure that we have, and that is the text effect. So we just have to make sure that here the text has an effect on the right panel, which is text effect. And then the enter effect will be slightly different. We're not gonna blur it. We're gonna offset it to maybe to the left with 5 here. Or is it offsetting it to the left? Yeah, I think it is. And then the Y offset will be 0. And here I'm gonna just slightly change the delay. And hopefully it's gonna look a little bit better now. Yeah, it does look a little bit better, but probably here the default primary variant can also have a different effect, a different transition. So we transition from default to clicked when we click it a little bit differently, a little bit more slowly. So I'm gonna just go to the right panel, transition, and set 0.5 with 0 bounce. And now let's take a look at this. I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at here as well. So as you can see, I hover over, it has the effect. The icon also scales down and have a bit of a parallax effect. And if I click, we see the clicked, and here it no longer has the effect. However, we have to go back to the default somehow when we click right here, which is not really happening. And also the text is selectable, which is also something I'm gonna fix. So first of all, to make sure the text is not selectable, select it on the default primary variant, go to the right panel, styles, user select, and set it to none. And then to be able to go back from clicked to default, we just have to override this click interaction here and go back to default when we click this one. So we just go back and forth between them, as you can see, like this. So yeah, it looks pretty nice, it looks pretty good. And yeah, basically that's it. I think I'm not even gonna make the rest of the buttons because they are basically, you know, using the same technique, but maybe you can recreate them as a little exercise. I have all of the images here as assets here on the canvas page. So maybe a little homework for you, or a little exercise, that you can recreate all of the buttons with these different images with different clicked colors to, you know, practice this effect a little bit more. So yeah, basically that's it for this video. I hope that you had fun creating this useless magnetic hover effect for your Framer website. Make sure to check out Framer.University for other cool Framer stuff, like resources, components, and different remixes. And yeah, make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.